Hey guys, Telegram Sam here. If you don't already know, I have an Instagram. It's telegram underscore Sam underscore vital. So if you're on Instagram, check me out on there. But yeah, a long time no see, as most of you have probably noticed. I haven't uploaded a video since January, early February, like 3 or 4 months. And I wanted to start getting to making videos again, but I didn't want to like start making videos and not explain why I went MIA for a little bit. But when I started making videos, what now, 2 years ago, I told myself if it ever started to not be fun anymore or it started to feel like a chore, that I would stop making videos. And it started to feel like that, and I think there's a couple of reasons why. One, I had started a new job last November, and yeah, it was just even though it's in the same sort of career I had been in, which is like culinary and food. It was definitely a lot more labor intensive, and even though I love my job, I love working there, I literally look forward to going to work now. It's just was very exhausting. And working 10 plus hours on your feet, sometimes on your days off you just want to sit the fuck down. And that's what I just wanted to do. I didn't want to be crouched over my computer doing research or making videos. I just wanted to like relax and chill and just enjoy my weekends rather than essentially working on my weekends, which is what doing these videos are. I spend a lot of time and effort trying to make my videos the best they can be so you guys can enjoy them. And yeah, I was just so exhausted, and they were still trying to figure out my schedule, where they wanted me to be, if they wanted me to do mornings or nights. So there'd be some weeks where I'd be there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then the next day I would work at 2 to 10 and then work in the morning again. So I was just exhausted. But now I have a more regular schedule, and I actually have 3 days off now, so that's a lot nicer. And another component was just not necessarily all of the comments, but there was a few comments that would just talk about my appearance, and it just made me feel gross. Like, I'd get comments like if I was wearing a somewhat lower cut shirt, there'd be either comments on those videos, or people would message me on Instagram being like, oh yes, you're wearing a low cut shirt today in this video, just making me feel like a piece of meat. And just men not understanding that commenting on women's appearance isn't a compliment. Like, you wouldn't say to Dylan at Noble Records like, wow, that beard really makes you look sexy, or Mazzy like, oh, that hat really brings out the color of your eyes. Like, I was just tired of like reading those comments. And I get a lot of men don't realize that, and they think they're just complimenting a woman, but it's like, I'm just trying to talk about music like everyone else on YouTube is trying to do. I just don't want to feel like I'm being sexualized while I'm just trying to talk about my passion, my hobby for records and music. There's a lot of different ways you can compliment women, rather than bringing up their appearance. And I just was dreading putting up videos because I knew there would be comments like that under my videos. Yes, it was a very small percentage, and there are men out there that understood and still understand that women don't like that. But yeah, it's like it shouldn't be my job to teach men to treat women like regular people. It's just like, and I didn't want to even start those fucking arguments. And yeah, I just need a break for a little bit and try to reevaluate my place in the vinyl community, if I even wanted to be a creator in the vinyl community. And I put a little story up about a month ago, sort of explaining on my Instagram why I left, because I was getting so many messages of, one, just people making sure I was okay, it's still alive, and just wondering if I'd ever be back. And I was like, yes, but I just don't want to feel so just gross every time I put up a video. And I was getting a lot of responses from other women who either just post stuff on Instagram or do Instagram and YouTube, or like, oh my god, thank you for talking about this, and like, oh, I feel the same way, and like I stopped even posting pictures of myself because of all the gross things people would say under my posts or my videos. Or yeah, it was like, oh, so this is like more than just a me thing, which I knew. But yeah, those were just some of the reasons why I've left. And I don't think I'm going to do like once a week like I was doing back in the day. I think I'm just going to do like whenever I feel like making a video. So maybe that's once a week, or maybe I'll be MIA again for 2 or 3 months before I feel like making a video. I'm kind of just leaving it up in the air for now. But thank you to everyone who's messaged me, making sure I'm okay, has been saying that they miss my videos and all of that. And I just really appreciate it. And you're the reason why I want to start making videos again. So yeah, just a little bit of an explanation before I start getting back into making just videos again about records. But while I was gone, of course, I've been still buying and listening to records, and I just wanted to showcase some of the things I've gotten since I've been gone. These next three were ones that people actually sent to me. So this first one's pretty cool because I've been on the lookout for this single since I started this channel, but this is TRex's single for Telegram Sam. You have the name I adopted when I started this channel. This is actually sent to me from Stevie over in the UK. He sent this all the way over here to Portland from the UK, which was super nice. And yeah, so this is original UK 1972 press, glam, rock, pop, if for some reason you don't know who TRex are. But yeah, this was released as a single from their album Slider. And yeah, side A has Telegram Sam on it, of course, and the second side has Cadillac and Baby Strange, which I think was an exclusive to the UK single version of this. But yeah, super cool to have an original OG UK press of the single. So thank you, Stevie, for sending that to me. And these next two were sent to me from Ilya. He sent me a lot of great records before in the past. He actually sent me a record last year from the same band, but this is High Time by the MC5. This was the last of the OG MC5 albums I needed to complete their first three albums, which I think are some of the greatest albums ever. But this is an original 1971 US press, garage, rock, proto-punk, their second and last studio album. I just love this record. I mean, if you've seen my videos before, you know how big of an MC5 fan I am. This has one of my favorite MC5 songs on it, Miss X. I kind of wish I chose that as my like VC name, I guess, besides Telegram Sam, even though I do love that name. But I was like, oh, Miss X would have been kind of cooler, but it kind of sounds like a dominatrix name, so but yeah, I just love that song. I think I love this album. This album doesn't get as much love as like Kick Out the Jams or even Back in the USA, which was their first studio album, the album they released after Kick Out the Jams. But yeah, this was like their worst commercially worst selling album, and the reviews weren't so great. This was kind of right before the demise of the band. A lot of the members were on heavy drugs by this time. Yeah, so kind of a sad little piece to have, but I am just so happy to finally have this. And Bob Seger plays percussion on the song Skunk, which I did not know. But yeah, so excited to finally complete all my MC5 albums. I know there's like a shit ton of compilations. Some of them I do have, but I'm just so excited to finally complete my MC5 album list. And this one just came on the black, red, white Atlantic label. And next up, another one from Ilya, the Django Unchained soundtrack. For those of you who don't know, I am a massive fan of Quentin Tarantino's movies, and I've been on the quest to have all of his movies on vinyl, the soundtracks to his movies on vinyl. And this was one of the last ones I needed. This one's just a gorgeous, gorgeous. And this was a limited edition one. This originally came out in 2012, but this is a 2013 limited edition US press that came on white vinyl with sort of a red blood splatter. And yeah, it's just so gorgeous. And yeah, this is one of the last ones I needed. Now I think the only one I need is the Hateful Eight soundtrack, and then I'll be complete on my Quentin Tarantino soundtracks. So thank you again, Elia, for sending me those two, and the other ones you also sent in those packages a very long time ago. I think I thanked you on Instagram as well. But the rest of these I bought myself. These next two I bought from Trent, from Trent's Records. I don't know if he's doing YouTube videos anymore, but he has an Instagram. He's constantly selling crazy stuff on his stories. And yeah, these two have been grails for me, ones I've been wanting for years. And yeah, Trent is very honest with the grading of the records and the sleeves, and he gives he puts them up for a very fair price. So I just had to bite on these. This is the self-titled album from Jaco Pastorius. This is original 1976 U.S. press, fusion, jazz, funk. This was the debut album and his one of only 2 solo studio albums he would ever release. But yes, for those of you who aren't aware of who Jaco Pastorius is, there's a great documentary. I think it's literally just called Jaco. That's out there. I think you can probably find it free on YouTube. But he's considered by many to be one of the greatest bass players ever. I mean, if you just look up his name on YouTube, you can probably find some amazing clip of him just ripping on the bass. And I've been on the hunt for this record for years, since I really discovered him and fell in love with his work. I mean, it's like there's before and after you listen to Jaco. You know, the bass is one of those things that kind of gets forgotten about, especially, I would say, because I predominantly listen to like rock and punk music. You don't really hear a lot of bass, but you know, Jaco played the bass just like no one you've ever heard before. He does a great cover of Donna Lee by Charlie Parker on here. Continuum is a great one. Portrait of Tracy, which is literally just it's literally just him playing the bass. There is no backing instruments. It's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever hear in your life. Opus Pocus is another good one. I mean, really, just anything he did. I love the stuff he did with Weather Report. He played with Joni Mitchell. You have Herbie Hancock playing on here. Don Alias. Just so many great players on here. And it was produced by Bobby Columbi. I believe that's how you say his name, from Blood, Sweat, and Tears, who kind of like discovered him. And yeah, it's just a crazy story. You should just look it up. Unfortunately, he died very young. He suffered from mental health problems and addiction problems, and just died way too soon. And yeah, just one of the greatest people to ever play the bass. And yeah, this one just came on the Orange Epic label. Next up, another grail. Again, I got from Trent. This is I Can't Stand the Rain by Peebles. Promotional copy. Original 1974 U.S. press, funk, soul. This was Anne's 4th studio album, and she had the amazing Memphis horns backing her up on here. But obviously, I Can't Stand the Rain was kind of more famous because Tina Turner did a cover of it in the 80s, but I do prefer Anne Peebles' version, like that beginning of the dun, 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 dun. I don't even know what that is, but it's amazing. And I really do love the song Run, Run, Run. That's another great one. But yeah, this is just a must-have if you love soul music, funk music. I think Anne Peebles is one of the most underrated soul singers ever. She's just fantastic. I eventually want to have all of her albums, but this was definitely the top one on my list to have from her. So thank you, Trent, for crossing that one off my list, and the Jaco Pastorius one. But this one just came on the London High Records. Next up, a somewhat modern album, even though this came out nearly 20 years ago. But this is Oracular Spectacular from MGMT. This originally came out in 2007, and this is a 2014 press. indie, rock, psych, pop, electric. It's a little bit of everything on here. Kind of like proto Tame Impala. But this was their debut album. Uh, at my work, we have like a overhead system where we can listen to whatever music we want. And I found like the station that appeases everyone is like MGMT, The Killers, Animal Collective. We all sort of like that music. So because of that, I've been like really getting into MGMT again, even though I probably haven't listened to a lot of this stuff on this album since I was like in middle school when it was really popular. But I was like, God, this album is so good. Like, I mean, how could you not dance to Electric Feel? Like, that is such like a fun, just like let go of everything, dance your heart out song. Kids, I mean, I just love this album. And initially did not sell well when it came out. It actually took like a year and a half to 2 years for it to finally like pick up pace, and people were like, holy shit, yeah, this is a great album. And yeah, I just love this one. Love MGMT. Yeah, it was just bringing me back to my middle school years. And this one just came on an interesting Columbia label. I don't think I've ever seen that label before from Columbia. Alright, next up we have a little bit of krautrock. Don't have much of it in my collection, but I've been getting into it. This is It's Getting Better by Atlantis. This is a 1973 UK press. Blues rock prog. This was their second studio album. Inga Rumpf is the vocalist on here, and man, is she killer. It's kind of like if you were to mix Carly Simon with like Dusty Springfield. You just really have to hear her. She's just amazing singer. And they were only together for about 4 years before disbanding in 1976. They released 4 studio albums and 1 live album. But yeah, if you're into krautrock or want to get into krautrock, this is a great band to start out with. Really killer. I'd say this one is a little bit more blues rock than proggy, but you can still hear some slight elements in there. But yeah, this one's a really great album. And this one came on the later Vertigo label. It kind of has a spaceship on it, which is kind of cool. I know a lot of people talk up the Spiral, but I do like this one. And then another genre of music I've been kind of getting into lately is like retro Asian pop music. And I recently found this last week. This is I Google translated this, so I don't know if this is right. If any of you read Mandarin, which I believe is the language that's on here, let me know. But this is the song of Zhang episode 9. I probably definitely butchered that, by Chang, Xiao, Ying. This is a 1974 Singapore press. This is her 23rd of 63 albums she would release from 1967 to 1982. She was considered to be one of the most well-known and popular Singaporean singers during the 60s and 70s. But yeah, again, I just saw this, picked it up, knew nothing about it, obviously, because I don't read Mandarin. And I actually really do like this. Her backing band on here is the Stylers, and they kind of bring this sort of garagey, sort of 60s Brit pop thing to the backing instruments, and she just has such a beautiful angelic voice on top of it, so it's a really interesting contrast that works, and I really love it. But yeah, this is just a genre I've been really getting into lately, and this one came on Tong Ache Records. This blue label. Next up, another one I kind of just took a chance on because it looked interesting and sort of up my alley. But this is the self-titled album from the band Everyday People. This is original 1971 US press, rock, funk, soul. This was the only album that this Canadian band would release. It's also a promotional copy. Yeah, I got this last week, and I was like, Everyday People, that's a Sly and the Family Stone song. I don't know, this guy with the sunglasses with the long hair looks kind of cool. Let's check it out, and it's pretty cheap. But yeah, they do a cover of Sly and the Family Stone's Everyday People, which is really good. But yeah, I would say it is kind of like white folks doing Sly and the Family Stone sort of thing, a mix of soul, psych, pop. I'd say this has a little bit more rock elements to it than Sly and the Family Stone does, but I really do love this album. If you can find it online, check it out, or if you see it for cheap out in the wild, check it out. I really do like it. And this one came on a Paramount gray silver label. Next up, a popular artist. He was a member of one of the most famous bands, but one I just kind of never really heard about, but took a chance on because it was cheap. But this is Monkey Grip by Bill Wyman. This is original 1974 U.S. press pop rock funk. This was the debut solo album from the Rolling Stones bassist, and you have Leon Russell and Dr. John playing piano on a few tracks on here. Surprisingly, there's no other Stones members on here, which I think is kind of interesting, but it was released on the Rolling Stones label. But yeah, I really dig this. It's a lot more funkier than I would imagine it to be. I was like, oh, it's probably just going to sound like Rolling Stones music. But, I mean, it still kind of does. It does sound like Rolling Stones, pop rock with a little bit of a blues element to it, like they were doing in the mid-70s during this time. But this definitely has a lot more funk on it. Even a few tracks have some reggae touches to it. I really do like this a lot more than I was expecting to. But yeah, again, if you ever see this out in the wild, you can find them for fairly cheap. Check it out. Maybe I'm crazy and I'm overhyping this, but I really did like this. And this one just came on, like I said, the Rolling Stones Atlantic label. This one has a cool monkey on it. I don't know if camera, there you go. Camera's trying to focus on it. But yeah, definitely check it out. You probably stream it if you don't want to buy it. Alright, last but not least, a band I've been meaning to get more of because I only had one album from them in my collection before I got this. But this is One Nation Under a Groove by Funkadelic, original 1978 US press, electronic funk soul. Their 10th studio album and their most commercially and critically successful album. I love Funkadelic. I love Maggot Brain. I think it's one of the greatest debut albums, let alone albums ever. And yeah, I've just been meaning to get more Funkadelic's records in the collection. And I mean, of course, I already know One Nation Under a Groove, the song. But yeah, I just needed more Funkadelic in my life. And plus, George Clinton is doing the final Funkadelic tour, and I really want to go see them in July when they come to Portland, so I would die if I got to do that. But yeah, I just need more Funkadelic in my life. And because this is an original press, this version came with a nice little 7-inch EP. The first side has Maggot Brain and Chant, Think It Ain't Illegal Yet, and on the first side, and then the second side has Lunch Metaphobia, Think It Ain't Illegal Yet, and then PE Squad Doo Doo Chasers. But yeah, this is a cool thing. It's funny because I was listening to this, and after I was listening to it, I was putting it back. I was like, I feel like there's something else in this. And I looked, I was like, oh, there's a 7-inch in here. Didn't even realize. But yeah, that was cool. And the record just came on a Warner Brothers label, and the person who owned this before me wrote their name on it. So thank you to E. Fincham for getting rid of your records at an antique store. And what ended up in my collection. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video and hopefully understanding the reason for why I was gone for a bit. Again, I hope to put more videos in the future. And yeah, just thank you for your continued encouragement and support. You guys are the reason I'm still doing this. And yeah, I'll see you guys hopefully in the next video. Bye.